Okay, so imagine this. It's a Tuesday morning. You manage a commercial property, maybe a mid-sized office building. The coffee's brewing, emails are coming in, everything's, running smoothly.
The calm before the storm.
Exactly. Then you get the call. A pipe's burst on the third floor. It's chaos. Water is just everywhere. You call your go-to plumbing contractor. Let's call them XYZ Plumbing.
Right.
They rush over, tools in hand, ready to save the day.
Standard emergency response mode. Adrenaline's high, everyone's moving fast.
Totally. And in the chaos of fixing the leak, one of their crew members slips on the wet floor, falls, breaks a leg, or maybe even worse, they accidentally rupture a second line, causing massive water damage to the tenant below.
Oh, that's the nightmare scenario.
We're talking servers worth hundreds of thousands of dollars just ruined.
That is the moment your heart just stops.
But you, the manager, you take a breath. You think, it's fine, it's terrible, but financially it's fine. I checked their insurance when I hired them 6 months ago. We're covered.
The false sense of security.
Right. But then you make the call, and you find out their policy expired 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Or maybe the certificate they gave you was just a Photoshop job. Suddenly, that check in the box you thought you had it's gone.
And in the industry, we call that the $1 million mistake. It sounds dramatic, but it's not an exaggeration. You're suddenly looking at a situation where the liability doesn't stop with the contractor.
Because they have no coverage.
No coverage and probably no assets to seize. So the lawyers, they look upstream. And who's upstream? You, the property owner.
It's terrifying because it feels so administrative, doesn't it? Like checking a box on a form shouldn't be the difference between profitability and bankruptcy.
But it is. It's the firewall. And what we found in the research for today is that most people think that firewall is up, but in reality, they're holding a piece of paper that might as well be blank.
So today we are doing a deep dive into why that little piece of paper, the Certificate of Insurance, or COI, is actually one of the only things standing between a business and total financial ruin.
We're looking at a landscape where fake certificates and expired coverage are just rampant. If you're just filing PDFs in a folder and forgetting about them, you aren't managing risk. You're just hoping for the best.
And hoping for the best is rarely a sound business strategy. So to solve this, we're diving deep into a platform called CertifyVendor. We gone through their documentation, their features, user guides, everything.
The mission for today is to figure out how this platform claims to take that chaos and automate it. But I think we need to go beyond just the software.
I agree. I want us to really unpack the logic of vendor risk itself.
I think that's the right approach. The software is the tool, but the mindset shift is what really matters. It's about moving from that reactive panic chasing papers after an accident to proactive risk management.
So let's unpack this. We touched on the $1 million mistake, but the source material breaks vendor risk down into 3 distinct pillars. I think people often only see the first one, which is the most obvious: financial liability.
Right. This is the slip and fall we just described. It's the bodily injury and property damage clause. If a vendor causes damage and they're uninsured, your business pays. The courts generally don't care that you thought they were insured.
If you let them on the property without verifying valid coverage, you assume the risk.
It's that simple.
Okay, so that's the explosion, the big lawsuit. But the second pillar is one that I feel like is more of a silent killer. Compliance failures.
Yes. This is the boring stuff that actually sinks businesses. It's not an explosion, it's a slow bleed.
How so?
Think about regulatory fines or failing an audit. Your lease agreements, your own insurance carrier, they all likely require you to use insured vendors. If an auditor comes in and says, show me the proof for these 10 vendors, and you can't,
You're in trouble.
big trouble. You can lose your own insurance coverage or be in breach of contract with your tenants.
So you could lose your building's insurance policy because your landscaper didn't have theirs.
Absolutely. Your carrier assumes you're managing your risk. If you prove you aren't, they might drop you or just skyrocket your premiums.
That leads us to the third pillar, which honestly I was skeptical about at first: fraud and expiration, specifically the fake certificate. Is this really a thing?
More often than you'd think. You have to kind of empathize with the small vendor for a second to understand why. Insurance is expensive.
Right.
For a small painting crew or a solo plumber, general liability and workers' comp can be their biggest annual overhead. Cash flow is tight, so maybe they let a policy lapse for a month to save cash,
Right.
or they never bought it, but they need the job. So they take an old PDF, edit the date in a PDF editor, and email it over. To the naked eye, it looks perfect.
Wow, it's like a fake ID for a contractor.
Exactly. And if you're not verifying that directly with the carrier or using a system that does, you are holding a worthless piece of paper.
So who is this for then? Because when I hear vendor insurance tracking, I assume big enterprise companies. But the sources list property owners, property managers, and even the contractors themselves.
It affects all of them, but the pain point is different. For the property owner, it's pure liability protection. They're the deep pockets, right?
Right.
But for the property manager, it's about sanity. They're drowning in administrative chaos. Imagine managing dozens of vendors across multiple properties. That is hundreds of expirations to track.
Chasing paperwork is a phrase that came up a lot in the notes.
It's a full-time job if you do it manually.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, your insurance expires on Tuesday. Hey, Bob, you sent the wrong page. Hey, Bob, I still need that document. It's exhausting.
But I want to pivot to the contractor perspective because this is often overlooked. Usually compliance software feels like a hurdle for the little guy.
Another hoop to jump through.
Yeah. But CertifyVendor seems to position this as a benefit for them too. How does that work?
Well, think about it from their side. They want to get paid, and they want the next job. If they forget to renew their insurance, which happens, they're busy fixing pipes, not doing admin, they get kicked off the site. Work stops. Checks stop.
Ah, okay.
By using a platform that proactively reminds them, hey, you're expiring in 14 days, it actually helps them stay employable.
So it's like a personal assistant for their compliance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It professionalizes their record. Instead of being the guy who always forgets his paperwork, they become the safe option. Get XYZ plumbing, they're always green-lighted in the system. That's a competitive advantage for them.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we understand the problem. The stakes are incredibly high. Let's get into the mechanics. How does CertifyVendor actually fix this?
It's surprisingly streamlined. They break it down into a 3-step process. Step 1, add vendors. Step 2, request certificates. And Step 3, stay compliant using the dashboard.
I want to zoom in on step 2 there. Request certificates, because usually that involves me opening my email, finding their address, writing a message.
And then waiting 3 weeks for a reply.
Oh, yeah.
CertifyVendor changes the medium. Instead of endless email chains, they use a specific vendor portal. The system sends an automated request, the vendor gets a secure link, and they upload their own documents directly into the portal.
So I don't have to be the middleman handling all these PDFs.
You're removing yourself from the data entry role. And that's crucial for liability, too. You aren't handling the data and maybe making a mistake entering the dates. The vendor provides the proof directly.
And that leads us to the dashboard. The source material described it using what sounds like a traffic light system. Active vendors, valid certs, expiring soon.
That visual immediacy is critical. You don't want to hunt for problems. You want the problems to wave at you. The source gives a great example of what you'd see. ABC Cleaning Co., general liability, status, valid.
Green light, good to go.
Exactly. But then right below it, you see XYZ Plumbing, our friends from the intro, and it says workers' comp expires in 14 days.
And that's the crucial window. 14 days is enough time to fix it.
Right. And then you have RS Electric. Maybe their auto liability is just expired. That's a big red flag. That vendor should not be driving a truck onto your property today.
I really appreciate that simplicity. It answers the question, can I hire these guys today? In about 3 seconds.
It cuts through the noise.
Yeah.
But if we want to get to the real secret sauce here, we have to talk about what's happening under the hood. Because storage is nice, traffic lights are nice, but the real value is the automation and the AI.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. The material mentions AI-powered features and AI compliance narratives. Now, usually when companies slap AI on something, I get a little skeptical.
It often just means better search.
Right. But here, it seems to be doing some real heavy lifting.
It is. Think about what a human does when they check a certificate. Be honest. They look at the date. Okay, 2026. Good. They might look at the coverage amount. $1 million. Good.
And that's probably it.
Do they read the exclusions? Do they check if the additional insured endorsement is attached correctly? Almost never.
And to be fair, most property managers aren't insurance experts. They wouldn't even know what to look for.
Exactly. And this is where the AI features are designed to do that deep reading. They mention coverage gap detection. The AI isn't just checking if a document exists, it's looking for holes. It compares the document against the specific requirements you set.
Okay, can we pause on that?
Mm-hmm.
What are these specific requirements? I saw terms like additional insured and waiver of subrogation. These are heavy legal terms. Why does it matter that the AI checks for them?
Sure. So additional insured basically means the vendor's policy covers you, the landlord, as if you were also the policyholder for that job. If they get sued, their insurance protects you too. If that's missing, their insurance only protects them.
And leaves you exposed. Okay, and waiver of subrogation.
It's a mouthful, but it's vital. Subrogation is when an insurance company pays a claim and then sues the person who caused the damage to get their money back. A waiver of subrogation means the vendor's insurance promises not to sue you to recover those costs.
Wow, so without that, their own insurance company could come after you.
They could pay for the accident and then turn around and sue you, the landlord, to get their money back.
So these aren't just technicalities. These are the difference between being covered and being sued by an insurance giant.
Precisely. And a human scanning a PDF misses these details because they're buried in the fine print. The AI coverage gap detection catches this. It then provides what they call AI compliance narratives.
It tells you the story.
Yeah. Instead of just rejected, it might explain, this policy excludes residential work, but this is a residential property, or missing waiver of subrogation endorsement.
That's a level of analysis that would take a human expert a lot of time and money to do for every single vendor.
And it does it automatically. Plus, you get the simple stuff, like expiration alerts. Emails go to both you and the vendor before coverage drops. It nags them so you don't have to.
I see some stats here that back this up. It says they prevented 12,000 compliance breaches last year. That's 12,000 times someone was about to work without the right paperwork, and the system caught it.
And they're monitoring over 50,000 vendor certificates. When you have that much data, the system just gets smarter. The dashboard screenshot in the source shows a 98% compliance status. If you ask the average property manager what their compliance rate is,
They'd have no idea. They'd probably say, I think it's mostly fine, which is code for I have no clue.
exactly. And I have no clue is where liability lives.
So we have the risk, the solution, the AI brain. Now, the big question, is it worth it? Let's talk about the tiers, because this kind of thing usually costs a fortune.
That's the surprising part. The barrier to entry is incredibly low. They actually have a free tier.
Free, like a trial.
Nope, $0 forever. It allows for 5 vendors and 3 properties. And this is key. It includes 5 AI analyses per month.
That is pretty generous for a free plan. Usually, they lock the cool AI features behind a paywall.
It lets a small operator, maybe a landlord with a couple of duplexes, test the system. They get the dashboard, storage, the alerts. It's a classic get you hooked on the value strategy.
But if you're a real business, you've got more than 5 vendors. A single renovation could have 10.
Right. So the growth path moves to the starter plan at $49 a month. That gets you 25 vendors.
And then we have the professional plan. Looking at the features, this seems like the sweet spot to me.
I agree. At $99 a month, you get 100 vendors. But this is where those premium features really kick in. You get the AI compliance narratives and the coverage gap detection we just talked about.
That's the safety net, the thing that catches the missing waiver of subrogation.
That's the one. And for the big players, there's the business plan at $190 a month. Unlimited everything.
And I noticed they also have the annual discount, where you get 2 months free. So the professional plan drops to, what, about $990 a year?
So let's just do the math on that. Under $1,000 a year, let's say that system prevents one uninsured contractor from causing a $50,000 lawsuit.
The subscription has paid for itself for the next 50 years.
Exactly. Or, even simpler, think about the administrative time. If you save just 2 hours a month not chasing emails and digging through files, the software pays for itself immediately.
And for the listener sitting there thinking, ugh, another subscription, it sounds like the answer depends on how much you value your sleep.
Or your license. Or your assets. It's insurance for your insurance process.
I like that. Insurance for your insurance.
And they have credibility markers. 278 plus happy businesses, trusted by 1,500 plus property teams. This isn't some prototype. And they emphasize 247 monitoring and alerts, which is key. An emergency can happen at 2 a.m. You need to know your vendors are covered then, too.
So let's wrap this up. We started with the $1 million mistake, the terror of that uninsured vendor. We walked through how CertifyVendor replaces that spreadsheet chaos with a simple dashboard. Red lights, green lights.
And we saw how the AI is actually checking the fine print, so you don't have to be a legal scholar to hire a plumber.
The transition here seems to be psychological as much as it is technological.
It's the shift from hoping your vendors are insured to knowing they are.
And that peace of mind is worth a lot.
It is. When you look at the dashboard and see 98% compliant, you can focus on growing your business, not just worrying about what happens if a pipe bursts.
So here's the final thought for you listening right now. I want you to mentally audit yourself. If you had to produce proof of insurance for every single vendor working on your property right now, this second, could you do it? Could you do it in under 5 minutes?
If the answer is no, or if it's I'd have to call Bob and ask him to email me, then you are exposed. You're walking a tightrope without a net.
And since there's a free tier that requires no credit card, there's really no excuse not to find out where you stand.
It's a low-risk way to fix a high-risk problem. Even if you just upload your top 5 vendors, you'll sleep better.
Absolutely. Well, that does it for this deep dive. Check your vendors, stay compliant, and we will catch you on the next one.
Stay safe out there.